What's up, Kate? How you doing?
Good, Drew. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. I'm doing really, really good. Great weekend. It was good, relaxing, but busy as well. So I was able to fill the pockets as needed. How about yourself?
It was good. Relaxing in a lot of ways, busy in others, but glad to be back in the week, getting to it. Super stoked to be here. I actually love these calls.
I do
Um,
too.
Kind of for a couple reasons. I get to see your pretty face once a week. And then
Same.
two, we get to freshen up on both of our, market knowledge and kind of what's going on, and we get to inform people about it. So, I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, sweet. Well, start us out, man. Kick it off. What you got for us?
Yeah, so for this week, there has been kind of an interesting metric that I'd love to go over. And it's just because, we now are entering into March. And so we have February data to kind of look at. So what I want to focus on today is the Tucson real estate market and specifically the days on market for homes in Tucson. So in January, the average days on market for a home in Tucson was 31 days, so a month exactly. And in previous, episodes, weekly episodes, we've been discussing kind of what the market has been doing for buyers, right? It's been a great buyer's window. And so now the February data just came in and we see a drop of 2 days. So in January, the days on market for any home in Tucson was 31 days. And now it's 29 days in
Wow.
February. So we're seeing kind of a sharp decrease down. So what this means for any consumer is basically this could be the kind of first piece of data that is basically backing the idea that the spring and summer real estate market could be just as crazy as the past, few years, especially if rates start to come down, which I can honestly tell you, I have buyers right now who are shopping. So the rates, may affect some people, but honestly, for the vast majority of people that just want a home, it's not really something they fear because you have these buy downs and things we've discussed in previous episodes that buyers can utilize to make that interest rate definitely more affordable. So this metric of 29 days on market, and that's that is the first metric that could actually back the fact that man, the spring and summer months could definitely be another buyer frenzy. And then if that's the case, you could see prices either, creep up a little bit, kind of stay where they're at. But the basic idea is that it can become much more competitive, just like we've seen in the past few years. So it's going to be important to keep an eye on that number of 29 days to see where it goes, because that's going to be the telltale sign for buyers as far as whether or not it's a buyer's market and whether or not they can, take advantage of the position they're in.
I love that. I love that. And that was what my question was going to be is do you think you could see sort of a rally of how home prices again, similar to like what we did saw in the past? Or but you answered that by saying, yeah, we could possibly see that. So I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, like I said, if rates go down, that creates affordability for buyers. They start buying, right? A big wave of buyers start buying. And then what does that do to sellers? They're like, oh my gosh, we have three offers on a home. Let's up the price, right? Supply and demand. That's all it is. So again, if that days on market starts to, creep and continue creeping into the, spring and summer months, we very well could see that happen. So it's just important as a buyer to understand right now is a great buyer opportunity because sellers are starting to realize they don't have an upper hand. So yeah, just important to keep an eye on that number.
That's exciting. That's exciting. Sweet.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I'll hop into mine. So, as the three indexes have kind of been weird and wonky throughout the year, last week was a positive week. So, all three indexes were either at a break even or positive. S&P was up 1%, Russell 2000 was at a 0%, and the Dow Jones was up 1.16. The year to date for each of those, S&P 500's up 4.69%, Russell's up 7.89%, and the Dow is down about 0.3. So just sitting at that almost break even mark for the year. Now, my call to action is actually in regards to diving in a little bit deeper as to what you said a few episodes ago about, building that team and having that strong connection. And I learned something new. So understanding the different phases of your referral partnerships as well as just your relationships in general is super important. So there's really three stages. There's the visibility stage, the credibility stage, and the profitability stage. The visibility stage is just being known. You know, do you walk into a room and do people know who you are? And when you do know who they are you having those conversations with people and just increasing your credit or increasing your visibility throughout the community, spreading your name, spreading awareness as to who you are and what you do? Now, following that comes the credibility stage. This stage is vitally important, and this is where most relationships that you have stop. They hit this stage and they stop. And that's when you can say, you know, I've got a case study that I helped this person, or I was able to help you, or I have this statistic to prove why you need me. But after that, you don't dig any further, right? You don't say, okay, you know, maybe I'd refer this person to my family. You just say, okay, I can benefit from these services personally, but why not share? So that last stage, profitability, is super important that we hit that. Diving into each relationship and really saying, like, I can provide value to you and your family. And I also want to make sure that I can help you by sending you my referrals from my family. And so having that back and forth referral partnership is very important. So I just think really diving in and focusing, like, okay, evaluating where you are each relationship, and then figuring out next steps to deepen those relationships. So that way you can have a team that works for you and with you.
That is awesome, bro. That is sick. And it's completely right, you know, especially with, you know, the group we have, you know, NGRN, going to meetups, you're networking, you know, how do you differentiate those relationships and, you know, who you're talking to and things like that. So that puts a really good perspective for maybe someone who's new and trying to network. So what would be your biggest tip? Because honestly, for everyone watching this, Drew Karcheski is probably the best networker that I freaking know. Every time I meet someone, they're either like, oh, you're friends with Drew Karcheski, right? And everyone just knows Drew. So Drew, in your experience, and you've done such a good job at, you know, that visibility aspect and all the way through, all of your connections all the way through. But let's just focus on the visibility aspect of this question. For anyone starting out, let's say they're brand new in the space of, you know, any profession, what would be your biggest piece of advice to kind of really excel at the visibility stage?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I would say ultimately the thing that I've noticed is it has to go beyond just the networking event that you're going to, right? So your networking event is to get name flow per se, right? So you're meeting as many people as you can, but you don't want to be false about it or fake about it. You want to have genuine conversations, but you need to carry those conversations into some sort of a follow up, whether that's a follow up phone call, Zoom call, coffee appointment, because you really want to dive in and find relatable points to hit on with those individuals. That way you create a memorable experience and a memorable conversation. That'd be my biggest. Okay, so like if, for example, the NGRN, right? You're meeting people, you're seeing all these people. It shouldn't stop just there. You should meet these people and say, okay, let's continue this conversation for a follow up. Let's meet up for coffee. Let's get to know each other truly on a deeper level so we can assist each other in growing our businesses together.
Yeah,
So, how about
absolutely.
yourself, man? I am curious to know because I mean, just as much as I think I'm a great networker, you are fantastic yourself, and the name you've made in Sarita with everybody. I feel like I go anywhere there and they know who you are. It's
Oh
like
goodness.
it's crazy. So tell me, like, what is yours?
Um, it's yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's follow up. And you know, that's something you and I have definitely talked about in our business, right? Is most people just suck at follow up. I mean, they suck, you know. I can't tell you how many service people I've used, whether it be for a rental property or my sales business, or right, these are services that I'm calling people to get their business, right? And I never hear from them again. I see them one time and then I never hear from them again. And I'm like, what the heck? You know, I follow up with them more than they follow up with me, and I use their service, you know. So follow up is huge. If you can follow up, you will beat 90% of the people out there. And again, it doesn't even have to be a meeting per se, right? You could shoot a text over and like say, hey, you know, this article really helped me out. I was thinking about our conversation last night, And, you know, I was struggling with the same thing in my business a few years ago. This article really helped me kind of move the chains, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so something like that, where it's just like a thoughtful action that you know you're sending to someone, and they're like, "Wow, no one's ever done that for me," you know. So just being genuine, like you said, being genuine, going to a lot of networking things, and then following up with people, and just trying to provide value.
I love it. I love it. Well, sweet. Well, like we always like to do, we want to end on a quote. And I do want to remind everybody watching that our next meetup is March 31st at the Sands Club. So please, if you can, we'd love to have you come out and join the network and be a part of us. But
Absolutely.
for the quote of the day, it's what is in your dash. And so when you look at a gravestone, you see the day that you were born and the date that you expired. But what truly matters and what truly makes you memorable is what you do in that little dash that separates the two. So, what is in your dash? What are you looking to do? And make sure you're hitting your goals and accomplishments. So,
That's awesome, brother. Love it.
I love it. I love it. All right, man. Well, I will see you next week. And we'll see everybody else, all the viewers, at the 31st.
Later, guys. Thank you.